Alright guys, so it's finally here. Went and picked up the motor the other day, and here she is, fully rebuilt LS1 241 heads, ported heads, a Camtech 228234 cam, Gen 4 rod bolts. We have an LS7 clutch behind it, ready to go. We have our T56. I think it's about time we get this motor prepped, painted, and get it in the car. Alright, so the engine is clean, it's been acid etched, and it's time to paint. Before we do, I'll just go over what products I used. KBS Coatings do a full kit, and the first step is cleaning with their Aqua Clean. I don't have that. I have Pour 15 Marine Clean. It's exactly the same thing, just from a different company. The second step is to use their Rust Blast, which is a mild acid etching component. You spray it on, you keep it wet, and you leave it on for 10 to 20 minutes. Then you hose it off, it mildly etches the metal and gives the paint something to bite to. And it might leave a phosphorus white powdery coating. That's fine. Paint straight over it. That helps the paint adhere to the metal. And then we have our top coat. I'm going with the motor coater, which is high temp. You can brush it on and it self levels out and the brush strokes disappear and it'll look like you just sprayed it. So anyway, let's get to painting. Okay, so here's the final results of the painted engine block with KBS motor coater. It's come out very nice, very high gloss, vivid color. Even though it was brushed on, the brush marks have all flowed out very nicely as well. I think it's a much better result than if you would have just used a spray can. And because it's a high temp enamel, it should hold up over time as well. So now this is done, let's bolt the bell housing to the back of the motor and we can take some measurements for our clutch and slave cylinder throwout bearing. Alright. so now we've got our figures. We can take our first measurement, which is our bell housing to clutch fingers, and subtract the distance from the throw-out bearing to the gearbox, and that leaves us with a figure of 0.274 of an inch. So we're bang on a quarter of an inch, and we're within spec, and we can put the gearbox and the motor together and it'll work. Now, I've been using all genuine GM parts. The hydraulic throw-out bearing is a standard item, and the clutch is an LS1 clutch, so I was pretty sure I was going to be within specs and I wouldn't need to shim everything, and that is the case. Alright, so we have the motor mounted in the car using our Dirty Dingo engine mounts. They're a company from Arizona in the United States, very popular with doing engine mounts for conversions. All the Datsun guys that put V8s in their Z use them. And unfortunately they don't make a gearbox mount. I had to source that from another company. And I mounted the engine a little bit forward from the firewall. I gave myself a bit more room, so I had some space for my remote coil pack setup, which I've done, and I've had to make all that harness from scratch. I'll go through that a bit later. I've got all the footage for that. I'll show you a bit later in this video, maybe in the next one. So I'm ready to put the gearbox in. I just have to fit a few parts to it first. So let's go over and have a look at that. Alright, so now the last thing to do is fit the transmission. And before I do that, I've bought a short shifter kit from a company in Adelaide called Cube Speed. So it's billet. I'm pretty sure it's just a copy of a rip shifter. And the factory Holden comes with a remote shifter, and it positions the shift selector further back. I'm missing all the bolts, I'm missing the plastic cover, I'm missing the rubber boot, and I tried to price all those parts and it was pretty much the same price
as getting an aftermarket short shifter kit anyway. And this will be much better because the factory Tremec gearboxes had issues with going from second to third gear. You would always seem to miss the shift. So this also solves that issue. So we can get this in. I'm going to have to modify the shift selector. That's off a Commodore. This is off a Commodore and it would sit like that. And I'm going to need to cut that bracket and just have it come straight up like that. So I'm going to have to cut and weld this and change that top because that's only going to accept a Holden gear knob, which I don't want. So yeah, how about we get this bolted to the gearbox and then we can look at putting it in the car. So in the last video I touched on Alsa Easy Chrome, a spray-on chrome system that I tried on these taillight bezels. That I wasn't really happy with the results. As you can see, it doesn't look very chrome, it's more of a silver. Now, I can't really talk badly about this company because these results are stuff up on our behalf, and when I say us, I'm talking about my spray painter who did this for me. I mean, if you're looking in the last video, when we're in the spray booth and he's laying down the chrome on this, it looks pretty good, it looks pretty shiny. And we get to the final results and this is what we ended up with. So what happened was, the young kid had the gun fan open too wide and he put out too much material, and we actually ran out of chrome paint just after he did the first coat. So it didn't have full coverage, so in some areas you could still see the black of the base coat. So we decided to thin it out because we had a little bit of chrome paint left in the bottle. So we thinned that out, sprayed it on, and it instantly went to this dull grey colour, and the chrome lost all its shine and its pop. So when I went to the paint rep, he said, no, that would happen, you're not supposed to thin it out. So really this was our own fault that this happened. Anyway, I bought a second set of taillights and I sent them to a chrome plater here in Sydney, and it did take 7 months to get back to me, but here they are, and as you can see, they look brand new. So these were about $300 to get chrome plated, which is a bit of a hard pill to swallow considering I spent about $200 in paint and materials to get this result on this set. Anyway, now I've got these back, I can reassemble the rear tail lights and get the rear panels all back together. So let's do that.
Alright guys, well that'll wrap it up for another video, and in the next one I think I might do a little bit of a montage. 10 years in 10 minutes sounds like a pretty good video to me, and then we can get back to the regular viewing, and that'll be putting the T56 gearbox into the car. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and help support me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.